Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Colorado Avalanche franchise mode. So in last episode we had the off season, and at the draft we took a guy named Gavin Okposo. Now we thought he was going to be a medium elite player, but he turned out to be a medium top 6 grinder that was a 74 overall. So this guy's not going to get to play in the AHL, unfortunately, because he was playing, I think it was in the Q, or was it the W? It was in the W, so he's going back to the W for this season, but hopefully next season he grows enough to be in a good fourth liner for us right away. So yeah, it was a pretty decent pick, I think. Has some okay categories, not the greatest for some of them. Like his skating is pretty good, and then his aggressiveness is, so he might be just more of a penalty killer down the road, but other than that, he's a pretty good pick. So anyways, in this episode, we're just going to probably sim most of the season. I think we're probably going to be a team that just barely makes it or just barely misses, even though it does say we're a champion team. I don't think we have that much of a difference in comparison to last year, and last year we had kind of a horrific season. So I'm not sure on how we're going to do, but hopefully we can make those playoffs again. If not, like I said in last episode, it's not the biggest of concerns because we do have to probably find a number one prospect, because we kind of have some good prospects but nobody that is outstanding, and we do need some replacements for guys like Sakic and whatnot. So let's start up the season simulation. We're going to sim 3 months probably, just so we can get a lot of the chunk of the season done with. We're playing good in the preseason, but that's not really the greatest because usually good preseasons don't continue in the season. But hopefully Ross Carter has a big bounce back from last year, because last year he had like a 907 save percentage, I think it was. And then when he was back up, he was putting up like a 930 save percentage. So maybe he bounces back this year and we make the playoffs with a pretty good record. Considering we just had a 7-0 preseason where we let in no more than 2 goals in a game. Pretty good. But it sucks that players like Sakic, Fleury, who else? Patrick Waugh, all like kind of dropping off a bit. Like this could be their last season in the NHL. Like they could be getting closer to retirement. If for some reason we're well below 500, I might have to flip away somebody like Avalanche who has 1 year left, just to kind of maybe get a good pick back for him. And then we could just call up some crappy defenseman from the AHL, or maybe we just take back a defenseman in a first rounder or something. If we could get a first rounder for Avalanche. So we're off to a pretty good start this season in comparison to last year, at least, because last year we started the season like, I think it was, we had like 7 losses almost in our first 10, and we already have an injury to Amari Roach, who's our top 6 defenseman. So Isaiah Thomas, I think his name is going to go in. Wow, a 10-2 win over Phoenix. Nicely done, guys. 4-1-1 so far. At least it's not too long term of an injury for Amari. Game against Czech Republic, and we lose to them. Oh yeah, we do have Czech Republic's first round pick, I think, for, is it next year? Yeah, I think it's still for next year's draft, so I'm hoping that team kind of falls apart like in the off season, and maybe we get a lottery pick out of it or something. Because if we could get like 2 really high up first round picks in one season, that would be pretty nice. Because we are kind of falling backwards a bit, because the last few seasons we've been trending downwards in terms of production and stuff. Which is probably due to our age, I assume. So there you go, Amari Roach back in. Let's just take a look quickly on how our lines are doing. So, wow, okay, Forsberg over point per game, that's good. Keefe is just under point per game. And Gerbeshkov is over point per game. So top line is producing. That's what I want to see. I would assume Gerbeshkov is producing because it's the last year of his entry-level deal, and usually I find rookies, they have really good like last years of their entry-level deals, and then they want a lot of money when it goes into their actual contracts. Like I feel like Gerbeshkov is probably going to want like $6 to $7 million a season, and we're probably going to give him a long-term deal as well, considering we don't have cap to deal with in this GM mode. So there's 2 wins over the Flyers, 1 in overtime and 1 by a score of 7-1. So it looks like our offense is definitely humming this season. Second and third for Nolan Pratt. No thank you. Even though I think Nolan Pratt was a part of the 2001 Stanley Cup winning team for the Avs in real life, if I'm not mistaken. But we are playing really good defensively in our last few games and offensively. So yeah, this season is looking like it might be like the complete reverse of last season. But hopefully we could still continue this in the playoffs if we get there. Just because last year we were ousted, I think it was in 6 games, maybe it was 7 games. It's been a while since I've recorded that episode, so I don't even really remember. But either way, this team is looking really good. Like, we have mostly every game this month so far, we've let in like an average of a goal a game, except for 2 games. So we're definitely playing dominant on defense. So I guess trading away Adam Foote last year was a good idea, considering he was like a minus 30 something, I think, or a minus 28 at the deadline. And then we flipped him. We probably won't make any huge trades this year if we are going to make trades, but it depends on our record once we get to the deadline. Game against Detroit, and Sam Strudwick for the 3rd straight season or 2nd straight season has injured himself, sprained ankle, till December the 12th. Damn, that's a bad injury, but we'll just go replace player. It's only for like 2 weeks, but still, that's our top defenseman out there, and he's probably killing it. Considering he's had like 60 plus points in his first 3 seasons, he's probably going to have like a 70 something point season this year, I'd assume, if this injury doesn't screw him over. I definitely want him to win another Norris, considering the last 2 years he's lost it because Rohan Sutter of the Tampa Bay Lightning's had like a really good plus minus. It's Barkov in the AHL, so that doesn't really matter. But yeah, sucks that Strudwick got beaten out by by Sutter. Because Sutter was like a plus 50 something last year, I think it was, and that's the main reason he won the Norris. So if Strudwick could pick up his defensive play a bit more, he should be able to win some more Norrises. And Ralph Culp has now separated his shoulder till January 27th, so that's actually a long time injury. Damn. Hopefully this doesn't affect us in terms of standings, and Sam Strudwick is back. That's great. So Dixon Ward is now in the lineup for the forward stuff. And how did Thomas do? +8. Okay, so I guess Mark Darmour was playing pretty good, or he got to play on the power play. And Sam Strudwick has 22 points in 24 games, and he's a +21. Definitely picking it up on his defensive play a bit, even though he has been plus almost every season. And Henry has been injured, so now another defensive injury. Yeah, we're still winning games, so it's good that we're still able to win with players out of the lineup. Shows that those depth signs were pretty good. So Barkov back into the lineup in the AHL. How's Finger doing down there? 8 points. Not the greatest, but oh well, it's his first season down there, I think. There's a nice shutout over the Islanders. Our first Ellison, who's a low starter, and a second for Jason Smith. No thank you. I don't really want to demote anybody down to the top 6 pairing. Even though Jason Smith is pretty serviceable, like I think he's like an 84, 85 right now. He's probably getting close to retirement. Because like I think in real life he retired in like 2009 or 2010. So Henry is back. That's good news. So Henry goes in where Thomas is. How has Henry done in his 2nd season for us so far? 5 points, +16. I'm liking that. Definitely a better fit for us, I think, than having Adam Foote. Because like Adam Foote was really good in plus minus for his first few seasons with us. But then that last season that he had with us for like the first half of it, he was just not good at all. Like I think it's because of his age, but hopefully he gets a cup in Czech Republic maybe before he retires. Probably not this season, but you never know. So Czech Republic's 2nd for Eliasson, who's that low starter, a 5th and a 6th. I might actually do this. I already have their 1st for next season, but this is for next season as well. But getting a 2nd for a low starter that I'm never going to use, and a 5th and a 6th. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to do this. I think that's a fair trade, because I'm not going to use that prospect. And then those 2 late round picks, we move up in the draft in a couple seasons. Why not? I think that's a good deal. And the last game of the month against the Edmonton Oilers is a 2-2 tie. So very good record so far in the season. How are we in terms of the standings? First in our division by 2 points. And we are first in the entire league. Good stuff, boys. Forsberg over point per game currently, so he's bouncing back nicely. But it's looking good so far. What else do we want to check? Anything quickly? No, I don't think so. Let's continue simulating. Let's go another 2 months or so. Let's go all the way to the deadline. Because I kind of want these episodes to be a bit quicker, considering the last few season simulation episodes have been like close to 30 minutes. I don't want this one to take up like a lot of your guys' time. But then again, you guys could probably watch it at like 1.5 times speed and it might still make sense. And then it'd be a lot faster, but I don't know if any of you guys even do that. We are looking for our 30th win coming up here against the Oilers. Can we get 30 wins already in January? And Barkov is never injured. This guy gets all injured a lot, looks like. Against the Oilers. I traded Rivet. No, I don't need Craig Rivet. No thanks. Can we beat the Oilers? Yes, we can. And Amari Roach has sprained his ankle. What's with all these defensemen getting injured this year? And Zadorov was never injured. I'm just going to get a drink of water quickly, guys, because my throat is kind of killing me. So I'm just going to cut out the audio right here. Okay, I'm back, and we just lost a game against the Penguins, and Roach is back, so it isn't that long term of an injury. So Thomas is back out of the lineup. Looks like he's been doing pretty good, though, when he has been in the lineup, being a +6. How's Roach been +6 as well? He finally got his first NHL goal after 2 seasons almost. So that's good news for him to finally hit the back of the net. Our HL team is hovering around 500. Hopefully they kind of take it up a notch a bit, because I want those goaltending prospects to do really good. Because one of them is going to be definitely back up next year, probably the franchise goalie. Just because franchise players usually get a lot of growth. And Culp is back finally after a month or so of injuries, or being injured. So Ralph Culp back into the lineup. How was he playing before then? Taking a lot of penalty minutes, but he was a +7. He's definitely a really physical player, because like last season, I don't think I told you guys, he had like over 200 penalty minutes. So he's just a really physical guy. Like, I mean, he's a good acquisition for us, but at the same time, he's been a bit of a bust being a first round pick. We probably could have got somebody better, but oh well. Our first for Kavusari and a third. Isn't Kavusari not that old? Like, didn't they just draft this guy like a few seasons back? 81 overall, medium top 6, 25 years of age. Now, I don't really need this guy at all, because, yeah, I would have to replace somebody like Sakic, and I don't really want to do that. But we get it's an interesting offer. I'm not going to take it, but Kavusari, that would be an interesting guy to bring in, like, maybe in the off-season, because he's probably not going to get re-signed if they're trying to trade him. Or he might get flipped, who knows, at the deadline this year to a team that actually wants him. McCardle, an elite player, and a 7th for a second. I got to take a look at some of these trades. It seems like a lot of these teams are looking to move out some of these guys. 1 year left as well. 82 overall, low elite, 25. Left wing grinder. I don't know where we would slot this guy in, because that would mean we'd have to scratch. Who is it that we'd have to currently scratch? We'd have to get rid of Mike Watt, which is not a bad option. And then we could and then we move Culp back down to the 4th line. You know what? I might actually do something like this. How about we throw Mike Watt to this deal, and we make that pick of yours up to a 4th. That might be a bit too high, but we'll see if we could do that. They don't have a current 4th, but they do for next year, or yeah, next year. Yeah, let's take a 4th. So we're getting a guy that's going to upgrade Mike Watt, and we're getting a 4th for our 2nd in Mike Watt. I think that's a good deal. Even though this guy has 1 year left, this guy could be definitely helpful in terms of the playoffs. He's got currently 18 points. He's a +2. He's pretty much just like the exact same type of player as Ralph Culp is, but a younger guy or the same age and a bit better overall wise. So I'm thinking I'm going to just do this if it works. Yep. Okay, it works. So I think that was a good idea. Even though I did just trade away Mike Watt, who's been a playoff hero for us in the last few seasons. It's time for some changes kind of to our lineup a bit. So Ralph Culp, you're going to be going back down to the 4th line. And we're going to put in McArdle, who's decently young too, so he might be a guy we bring back. So there you go, Justin McArdle into our lineup. Yeah, I think that was a good trade. Because we still have our first this year. We gave up only a second in Mike Watt to get a guy that's a bit better and younger by like 5 years. So I think that was a good deal. It might screw up our chemistry for a couple games, but hopefully that guy helps us out in the playoffs, because we should be a playoff team this year unless we lose every single game remaining this season. Game against Detroit. Are they still a good team? No, they're not. Damn this. So they're going down to rebuild status soon. Sam Strudwick has been injured with a strained hamstring. Damn. Strudwick stopped getting injured. It's probably because he's an offensive defenseman, because usually offensive defensemen are kind of smaller and they usually get thrown around quite a bit. And Isaiah Thomas has been injured, so both of our defensemen now are injured, so we had to put in a forward, I guess, there. But soon we should have Strudwick back. And we're getting some wins now. There you go. Multiple players are back. Okay, so defensively, so Dixon Ward was playing defense, but oh well. And Sam Strudwick back in, and yeah, that's good. So Norgren has yet to play this year, but hopefully, like, if there's an injury in the playoffs, he gets the chance to play. Like, we'll probably put him in if there's a center injury. There's a loss against Vancouver, but we're still well above 500, probably still around top in the league. Game against Chicago. No, Thomas is not playing. He's a depth guy. Game against Chicago. And it is a 8-0 win. Wow. Yeah, I think McArdle was a good acquisition for this team. Like, he could help us clean up the defense a bit. Because the defense, like, even though they're good, they're still really young. So he could still help out there a bit. Okay, so final game before the deadline. Vincent Damphousse is on waivers. I don't think I want him. He is better than our current depth center. He's got 1 year left, but nah, I'm not going to take him. And we beat Vancouver, so 40, 14, and 9, I think. That's basically what our record is here at the deadline. Let's just see where we're sitting, and then we will probably sim the rest of the season. We're currently first in our division by 7 points, and first in the league by 4. Yeah, we're definitely just going to quick sim the rest of these this season. I don't even know what I was trying to say, but we're going to advance one day quickly, though, and see all the trades that happen, see if there's any big blockbusters, because we're not changing up our lines. We made our one, like, kind of major trade. So let's go to the news feed, see if there's any huge ones. So let's go all the way to the bottom of this list. So Pronger a first, that's not actually Chris Pronger. Pronger a first and a second to Ottawa from LA for Vakov Prospos. It looks like LA is loading up on veterans. There's our trade, which I think was a pretty good one. Jesse McBride to Chicago from Detroit for a first and Lintner. Ottawa got Morin, Leclerc, and a fourth from LA for Radek Bonk and Salomonsson. So it looks like Ottawa and LA doing a lot of trades. San Jose got Kavusari, who's the guy we were offered earlier in the season, and a third and a sixth for Vesa Antilla. Finland gets a second and Dennis Gauthier from Chicago for a second and Spencer Smallman. San Jose gets a first, Hobson, and a third from Nashville for Jason Smith and a third. Tampa Bay gets John Clem from Ottawa for a fourth. So it looks like Ottawa's offloading a lot of players. Sean Hill and a third to the Pittsburgh Penguins from the Carolina Hurricanes. Okay. For a second and a third and S-Trip. Don't know who that is. San Jose gets a second, DeSantis and PJ Axelson from Buffalo for Kavusari, Patera, and a third. So Kavusari's been dealt multiple times this year. Bill McCult a fifth to Washington for Maximus Exelby in a third. St. Louis acquires Jamie McLennan and Mike Watt. So Mike Watt, who we literally just flipped away, he's been dealt right away to St. Louis. So he's back into, I think, our division. Maybe not. He's still in the Western Conference still, otherwise. For Campbell, a third and a fourth, okay. Finland acquired a second in Wayne Primo and a fifth from Calgary for a second and Dennis Gauthier. So Dennis Gauthier headed back to Calgary. Interesting. And our final trade is a big one, it looks like. So the Flyers acquire Koivunen, a third and a fourth for Sammy Salo and Rod Brind'Amour. Interesting. So those are all the trades for this season. So let's continue the simulation just because we're already up at like 21 minutes or so. And we'll see how we finish off the season because we are definitely going to be a playoff team. Hopefully we finish top of the league again and win another President's Trophy because we've won quite a few of those so far in this series. But yeah, I'm liking our trade and I think it makes sense because basically we only just gave up a, I think it was a 4th rounder, was it? No, it was our 2nd round pick. So we basically just gave up a 2nd rounder to get McArdle because now that Watt's been flipped to the St. Louis Blues. So Grabeshkov has been injured. That's not good, but at least he'll be back before the playoffs. Considering that's our top line right winger. And he's a really good takeaway machine. He's got like probably now closer to 400 takeaways in his career. Might be one of those guys that take home like a Selke down the road. And Grabeshkov is back. That's great. Because I don't want Dixon Ward playing top line minutes. So there you go, Grabeshkov back into the lineup. Okay, almost done this season. Can we hit 50 wins? We should be able to. And Aki Berg has been injured till March 28th, so he'll at least be back as well before the playoffs. I hate these late season injuries because some of them go to like past the playoffs and then you have to kind of adjust your team for the playoffs and it's kind of annoying. Can we hit 50 wins, please? I want to hit the 50th win. Aki Berg back in. So there you go. Can we hit 50 wins with this win over Nashville? No, we don't. How about LA? No, we don't. How about the Swedes? No, we don't. Oh my god. Or might not hit 50 wins. There's a 50 win finally. And we finished the season 50, 18, and 14, I think is basically our record. So a really good season by comparison to last year. And Forsberg was over point per game, so looking like a really good season for us. So let's save this quickly, and then we'll take a look at our player stats for the season, and then the standings, and then who we're up against in the first round. So, you know what, actually let's advance until we get the playoff thing up first. Or wait, actually maybe not. Okay, all teams have played 82 games, that's what I wanted to go for. So let's take a look at our player stats for this season. So Forsberg, 84 points in 82 games, and he was a plus 44, really good season. Grabeshkov, 69 points in 78 games and a plus 33. Keefe, 67 points and a plus 40. Liking this acquisition. Last 2 seasons with us, he's been pretty good. Sakic, 56 points, so he's still on the decline a bit, but whatever. Fleury, 55 points. Strudwick, 53 points in 73 games. So his worst season yet, but he was a plus 42. So might be still Norris Trophy winning. Drury, 50 points. Zadorov, 50 points. Olsland, 41. Zubov, 40. McArdle, 30. I don't know how much he had with Dallas, but still, it's pretty good. Galchenyuk, 29. Culp, 28. Darmour, 25. And a plus 46. He's a beast on defense. Bullis, 24, Ward, 13 points in 25 games. Henry, 13 points in 78 games, a plus 30. Great as acquisition last year as well. Berg, 7 points. Roach, 13 points. Thomas had 2 points, and Nordgren never got to play. Goaltending-wise, Carter was an animal. He might win a Norris this year. Because he played 72 games, going 42, 18, and 3. 10 shutouts, a .928 save percentage, and a 2.18 goals against average, while Patrick Waugh went 9-4-1, a 929 save percentage, and a 1.89. So he might have the best goaltending tandem in the league. But that is a very good season for Ross Carter, especially by comparison to last year. Liking that. Hopefully it continues in the playoffs. Let's quickly take a look at the entire league in the rest of those categories. So the best player in the league was Patrick Marleau on the Boston Bruins. Weird. Okay. Martin Straka and Braden Sloan. Okay. Those were the top guys in the league for points. Top in the league for goals was Saku Koivu for the second straight season. Henrik Steen right behind him, and Martin Straka. Forsberg also up there for us. The best plus-minus in the league was Mark Darmour, plus 46. We actually had the top 4 plus-minus players in the league, which is really good. Most penalty minutes, Yuri Sliger, 232. Most game-winning goals was Frederick Modin, and then also Koivu and this Trombley guy. Most power play goals, Pat Falloon, tied with Sedin and Brown. Most power play points, Peter Sikora. Most shorthanded goals, Craig Barahowski, a rookie, looks like. And let's just take a look at takeaways quickly. Frank Walzer. Okay. Grabeshkov was up there then. That's good. Let's take a look at defensemen quickly. I just want to see if we have... Yeah, it looks like... Yeah, I think Starbuk is going to take home the Norris this year. He should. Because he had a way better season than Rohan Sutter did. And way less games too. So I think he's definitely going to take home his second Norris. And in goaltending wise, Ross Carter was number 1. So we might have quite a few awards this season, which is great. Okay, so now final 2 things. We need to check the standings, see how we did in comparison to the rest of the league, and then we'll see who we're up against. So we finished first in the league, so another President's Trophy winning season. Just beating out Tampa Bay and LA. And then, let's see, goals for per game on average. We were the top offensive team in the league with a 3.29. It's really good. Our goals against in the league was the best, so we were the best offensive team, the best defensive team. Power play wise, we were not one of the greatest actually. We were, I think, 11th with 19.7%, still pretty decent. And then our penalty kill wasn't the greatest either. It's at looking like closer to the middle at 82.9. We only had 2 shorthanded goals this year, but we had a really good home record, a really good road record, and we kind of struggled in our last 10 a bit. Okay, so final thing is to see who we're up against in the first round of the playoffs. Hopefully it's a team that we could beat, and hopefully it's not somebody that we've struggled with in the past. And it's going to be the Vancouver Canucks. So the Canucks have made the playoffs for the first time in this build, considering last year I think McGillney retired and he had no playoff experience. But this is a big rivalry technically around this time. 2004 was more so, but still that is a pretty big rivalry. So let's see what the Canucks have. We know they have Sedin for sure, who was drafted in year number 1. So Alan Ellis, Henrik Sedin, Marcus Naslund. So pretty good young top line, except for Naslund. He's kind of dropping off a bit. Well, not really, but he's still 33. Then you got Hutton, Huey, and Kames. So a very good young second line. Savage, Afanasenkov, and Nilsson, another good line. That's pretty young. Then you got Von Arx, who's 19, Davidson, who's 32, and Cole Leak, who's 28. So overall wise, they're a very young team in terms of their top, their offense, which is nice. Defensively, Jovanovski is a bit old. Jet Wu's 26. He's kind of getting up there. They also have Lindgren and Bigris, and then Jarvis and Natanen. So they're a bit weaker in terms of defense because their offense is so good. So we should be able to beat them in terms of that. Goaltending wise, they have Nikolai Hebby-Bulin, so I guess they signed him in free agency, and Arthur's Urbe, who's pretty old, as their backup. Scratched wise, they got Matthew Weber, John Duchesne, and Brody Ebbett. So overall wise, I think if we could outplay them in defense, which we have the defensive upper hand, and the goaltending upper hand, I think we should be able to beat these guys and advance to the second round, but I don't know how they assimilate and if they're like a really good offensive team or they actually can play good defensively or not. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time.